So I get this question all the time, whether it's in Twitter, Discord, whatever. How do I know that a node project is legit as far as are these real nodes? Is this a real node project? What is a node? There's a lot of different questions that I get asked pertaining to that kind of subject. So I just kind of wanted to make a video explaining what node projects are and the two kind of different node projects that they are in crypto. So let's get right into the video. Everybody, it's Kolev. Hope you're having a great day or night, whatever time you're watching this video. If you do end up enjoying this video, please leave this video a like down below and a subscription if you really did enjoy it. And of course, if you want to get the most information about different projects, learn new things, and talk everything crypto, stocks, you name it, don't forget to join Sleep Money Club down in the description. All right, so when it comes down to node projects, there's really only two types of node projects. They're either real node projects or they're fake node projects. But some of the fake node projects can have real life implementations. So I created actually kind of a sort of diagram that kind of goes over everything as far as the node projects, real, fake. So let's jump right over to that. All right, so I made this diagram over on draw.io. It's a pretty solid website if you want to make, little diagrams like this and whatnot. So, it kind of starts at the root of it. So we got node projects, and, the question is like, what is a node? So a node is essentially just a computer that connects to a blockchain network to support that network in some way and or validate transactions on that network. Now, of course, that's a node in the specific case of like blockchain and crypto. There's obviously other meanings for the word node, but in this specific instance, that's what it means. Now, there's several types of nodes, but there's really two kind of main types. There's going to be like the RPC node, which is essentially a node that's connected to a URL to obtain like blockchain data, data transfers in and out, input, output, which can be stuff like, withdrawal requests, executing certain functions, in projects, things of that nature. And there's two other main types of nodes. It's going to be kind of like a staking node and a validator node. Now, a validator node is essentially a node on a blockchain, a computer that validates transactions in and out. And that is usually done by having a certain amount of allocated tokens, verified tokens within that computer. So whenever, tokens come through as a transaction, your computer will validate those tokens that are passing through with the current tokens that are staked inside of the computer. And a staking node is essentially the same thing as a validator node, except you do not need the computer hardware in order to stake. What happens is your tokens can get staked into a pool, and that pool essentially is like the staking node or the validator node, and that pool is used to validate the transactions. Now, there's other types of nodes as well. These are technically like digital, physical type nodes because you're not physically in control of them. You can be physically in control of them, but usually whenever you're doing like a validator node or something, you're setting up some type of remote access device, VPNing to some device, some hardware somewhere, and that provider is setting up the infrastructure there, and you're providing the staked tokens in order to validate those transactions. Now, crypto mining is another type of physical node, and those are essentially, if you don't know, which you probably already do, but they use the power of graphics cards in order to validate transactions through hash power. And the stronger a graphics card is, the more hash that it can produce, therefore more money you can make because it can solve more complex problems. Now, I know that may sound difficult. It's really not that difficult, but that's kind of the technical, terminology of how you would explain that. So now you kind of know what a node is. Now let's break it up into the two types of node projects there are. We'll start with the fake first. So the first thing about fake node projects is that there's zero connection to the blockchain. So they're not connected at all, to the blockchain. They're just a made up terminology in order to hold, their tokens or some sort of token that, the project is asking for. And it could further get broken up into two types of things, either, one with utility and one without utility. So the ones without utility have four main kind of attributes that you can tell if they do fit in this criteria. And there's four kind of main things that makes these no utility node projects fit. One thing that they're probably going to have is a short lifespan, just based on, high APR. It makes the project really unsustainable and essentially could really just be a cash grab at the end of the day. You can possibly profit if you get in early, and I try to stress that in some of my videos. If you're able to get into some of these projects early, you can make money, but I mean, you have to get in right at the beginning, and that is almost impossible to do every time. And the ultimate reality that results from that is you probably will lose money. They are very risky projects to get into. I don't recommend usually getting into projects that are fake node projects with no utility, you're essentially giving your money to those developers or quote unquote developers. So I would recommend to stay away from fake no utility node projects like this. And it eventually leads down to a few things. The project will claim that it's investing the money, and that's how they're able to pay income to people through their investments, but they don't really indicate any proof of that, and there's nowhere you can validate any of that. These projects generally work solely off of Ponzi-nomics. That's why I always like to tell y'all, go look at the tokenomics of the project. What does it say in the white paper? How are they allocating those tokens? If, you know, a massive majority, 80+% is going to the reward pool, that is a pretty bad sign that that project solely is relying on some type of Ponzi mechanics. And if that is the case, then I would definitely stay away from that project, because a project can be much more sustainable with different types of tokenomics. And to me, that's a red flag that the project's pretty much a cash grab. Now, going up to the fake node projects with utility, it kind of changes up a little bit. And the kind of name fake, it doesn't really seem that harsh when the node projects can have utility, but in primarily these types of ways. So generally, fake node projects with real utility will have a longer life. They're more sustainable in turn because they're not, claiming these crazy high APRs. You can still possibly profit. There's never a for sure thing that you are going to profit. The project could be really successful, but if the community isn't, supporting the project, and if the developers aren't doing enough on their end, then the project could still definitely fail and you can lose money. So I put possibly profit here because you're still not guaranteed profit. So some of the ways that you can see utility in fake node projects are if they back their tokens by some type of real world asset, whatever that may be. It could be real estate, could be property, could be something physical, something like that. Or they could actually invest that into, other projects, whether that's node projects, whatever types of projects, stocks, and be able to show you proof that they did invest, what they said they would. You can track down the blockchain if it's a crypto related project, if they're staking that money on some type of crypto platform, and provide proof. The one that comes right off the top is, cronodes. They put all their investments, Thor nodes, they put all their investments on their Discord. You can go and check them out. You can find them on the blockchain and verify all that. So Thor, cronodes. I don't know why I put Neighbor there, because Neighbor technically does have real nodes because they're RPC endpoints. So I don't know why I put Neighbor there, but Thor, cronodes, those are projects that have real utility but are still fake nodes. They're not real nodes. Now Thor has invested in validator nodes, but that does not necessarily make it a real node project in the terminology of what a node project really is. And I didn't really get over to the no utility projects, but something like star nodes, most recently Nebula nodes, there's not really much utility there. And they haven't really told what they're investing in. There hasn't really been any investments, not that I'm aware of. So it kind of seems like they're working mainly off of the Ponzi-nomics, and these are really, really dangerous projects, ultimately in the long run. Again, starnodes did make me a lot of money, in the past, but I did get into the project relatively early before it blew up. That's really just kind of the luck of the draw. I got pretty lucky on that one, to say the least. All right, so going over to the real types of node projects, they are directly connected to the blockchain, meaning that, validator nodes and RPC nodes, those are directly connected to the blockchain in some type of way. So that's already going to be a utility on its own, but it goes much further than that. One thing you'll know is that these projects tend to have a longer lifespan. They're not claiming some crazy APR, some crazy APY. They are a relatively reasonable APR that is still pretty solid in the world of investing when you compare it to something like putting your funds into a bank or something like that. But they tend to have a longer lifespan, and they still do not guarantee profit. There never should be a project that says it guarantees profit, because you never know how the devs are going to be and how the investors are going to be investing their money into the project. So this is something that you can profit from depending on those factors, but it's something that will be a long-term game. Like crypto in general, if you want to make a ton of money, you need to think about crypto long-term instead of these really short-term plays. Now, the short-term plays you definitely can profit from again, but if you want to think of crypto holistically, it's a long-term run. Invest your money, and eventually, if the project is good, the price will naturally go up as more people invest. I mean, when you think about investing in general, it really is just a big Ponzi, but I digress. Now, these are some of the things that real node projects will provide as a real node project. So they'll provide infrastructure on the blockchain, such as Web3 servers, something like Flux nodes does, and something like Pocket. Those two are, Web3 sort of platforms trying to create the first real infrastructure of Web3. Most of these projects do not use decentralized services to host their projects. They use something like AWS or Google. They're technically not completely decentralized because they do require, the Web 2 infrastructure in order to run. So projects like Flux and Pocket are aiming to solve that last kind of step into full Web3, development. And that's where real node projects make a difference, is when they provide real world utility like that you can instantly recognize is useful. Other real node projects may provide something like a validator nodes. If you look at just AVAX holistically, you can set up validator nodes on AVAX and they will be useful in that way. So maybe not necessarily a project does that, but holistically AVAX itself as a project will do that. And of course you have something like RPC URLs where, the neighbors, those nodes are real nodes in the sense that all of them are connected to RPC URLs. I think that power nodes are real nodes as well and are connected on the blockchain. I'm not entirely sure on that, but let me know down in the comments. And the final thing about real node projects are that there is zero Ponzi mechanics. They do not require people to come in order for you to get paid. You get paid solely off of, validating transactions, or if you hold the token by, validating transactions, staking those tokens on the blockchain. That's how you get paid. So they do not require necessarily, people to come into the project. They require people to be active on that blockchain for you to have, transactions to validate, but they do not require people entering the project for you to get paid. That's not how these real node projects work, and that is the first thing you should look for when you're looking for a real node project. Now, something like Neighbor does use some sort of Ponzi mechanics, so I guess I should have reworded that in a way, but it still has real utility and they are technically real nodes. So maybe I should have split this one up a little bit, but I hope that makes sense. Another one that I put in here is also pre-search. Pre-search uses real infrastructure, real nodes in order to create a search engine like Google. Now, your friend Andy has gone very extensively in pre-search in Flux. So if you want to learn more about those projects, I recommend going to his channel to learn about that. You will learn absolutely everything there is to know about those projects if you check out his videos. But yeah, guys, that's going to be it. I hope that this kind of helps you in understanding, what node projects are, the differences between real ones and fake ones, what nodes are. If you ever do have any questions, always just let me know in the comments. If I got something wrong, please let me know down in the comments as well. I'm not afraid to admit when I'm wrong. So if I am wrong about something, or if something didn't make sense, you want to clarify that, please let me know down in the comments. This is my understanding of how all of this works. So again, if there's anything I missed, please let me know. Guys, you have a great day or night, whatever time you are watching this video. And like always, have a good one.